Everything from overlanding in your stock rig to full-on LS-powered 2 buggies on stickies. This is the Total Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and with me as always, Ian, and today, our special guest, Derek Lassini.
How's it going?
What's going on?
Welcome to the party.
Well, I was just driving through and figured I'd stop by, and I'm just kidding, you guys invited me. But I am driving through.
Yeah.
Brought lunch.
And I brought some pizza.
If you guys can't tell, I got a little bit of something going on. Too much time out in the cold garage working on the Loki, so my voice is a touch lower than normal, to say the least.
I feel like you've been waiting to do the intro all week.
Oh yeah. Since it came in, it's like, yep, now it's low. Let's do this. So we are interviewing-ish, having Derek on. We're going to talk about his rig. If you guys don't know, he's got an 01 Silverado with a 5.3 and a 4L80 swap, amongst a bunch of other cool stuff. It's sassed, of course, because it is the SAS1. If you guys don't follow him on the gram,
SAS1.
Ooh, yeah. Just look that up, hashtag SAS1, you'll find him. If you don't follow him on the gram, where can I follow you at?
D-Man Blues Freak.
D-Man, Delta Man.
Delta Man. D is in Derek.
Oh. And
Man Blues Freak.
No underscores?
No underscores, no caps,
you're
no
fucking
nothing.
up, bud.
Well, underscores.
Yeah, well, sorry, I'll change it. It'll be D-Man Blues Freak underscore.
No, you got D underscore man underscore
okay.
blues.
That's what the cool people do. But,
Yeah.
you know.
You need one in between Loki and...
Oh, there is one.
Yeah,
Yep.
It all has.
one at the beginning, one at the end.
There's one in the middle somewhere.
Not enough.
Oh.
Anyway, we're gonna. Is this the Total Underscore podcast?
It is.
Yes, there's a couple underscores.
A couple underscores in there. Also sitting back in the wings, just hanging out with us today is Mike Wolf. You can find him at Mike So Funny.
Yep.
Mike So Funny on the gram. And he's also got a rig. I'm sure he'll chime in at some point. He's going to be our producer. We'll try to keep us on track. Lord knows that's not going to work.
He's got the whip.
He's got the whip.
Beating with a stick.
Yes. So, yeah, let's kick off this episode 3.
Let's get it going.
New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Who's excited?
It'll be a good year.
You ready to close this year out?
Yep, ready to get this one done.
Did you guys have a good 19? Yeah.
Did a lot of new stuff.
Dude, we went everywhere. The wife and I, we went all over the place. This guy over here that's joining us as a guest today got married.
Got wifed up.
Yep.
Got wifed up. Yep. And that was an awesome trip. Got to go out to Colorado for that. Thanks for having us out for that.
Yeah, man.
That was a good time.
Good parting gift.
Would have been a lot better if I'd had a rig and an extra 7 days. I can tell you that much. You guys' honeymoon was out there.
Yep.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Looked like you did some camping.
We did camping. We hiked Pikes Peak, which I would much prefer driving it in the future because we've driven it before.
Check that off the bucket list.
Yeah, we checked it off the bucket list. Yeah. It was tough. Probably won't ever do that again.
Yeah.
It's a one and done kind of a trip.
Yeah. That was an all-day trip, but anyway.
But, yeah, I saw Emily's post. You said you guys were pretty wore out after you got to the top of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very wore out. As I said, it would have been better to drive it or off-road it. That would have been impossible, actually. Or at least the hiking trail.
Impossible to... Oh, really? Is that bad?
Nah, the last part, I don't think you can maybe get over with a bouncer, maybe. But if you fall, then you're going down.
Challenge accepted.
It's not like a bouncer at like some off-road park in Missouri where you roll back a few times. You'd roll down the whole mountain, at least until the trees.
Full send.
We'll just just gonna get us a little RL chassis.
No, but
some 42s.
The year before we drove up it and in SAS1, and it was awesome. They were doing construction at the top, and so they were like, go park over here at Devil's Playground, which is like 3 miles from the top, and I was like, can we drive it? And they were like, yeah. Nice. And so it was right after the Roadkill episode.
That. Yeah, they had it closed up there. They were doing construction.
Yeah, so they let us go.
Right.
They're like, are you confident driver? And I'm like, yeah.
So, what else did we do there? Yeah, it looked like it was pretty cold when you guys were doing the camping, because you guys camped up there.
No, it wasn't too bad.
In the park, didn't you?
Yeah, we camped in Rocky Mountain. I think the lowest it got was in like the high 40s.
Okay, it's better than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it got cooler than that.
No, it wasn't.
I know we were up there for your wedding, the day of the wedding. We no more got inside and got settled into the venue, and it started hailing.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Oh my gosh, the weather on the wedding was so lucky because it...
Oh yeah, it was beautiful.
It rained in the morning before the wedding, which was outside, the ceremony, which was outside. The ceremony was beautiful, sunny, perfect. We got all our pictures in, and then we went to the reception, started eating dinner, and then hail, like you said. It was just nutty, like crazy storm. Right. And then afterwards, it stopped in a rainbow. There was a rainbow, and we had
Did you end up
fire
getting-
outside and everything.
Did you get any hail damage out of that? No? That's awesome.
It was
Yeah.
pretty soft hail. I was
lot of us
looking
had-
at it. It was
yeah.
like all breaking apart.
All of us, since we flew out there, we all had rental vehicles. Like, well, glad I don't have my own car.
Not my problem. Not
Yeah.
my problem at all.
the
Except for my best man, Trevor, had his
Yeah.
SAS Duramax.
Yeah.
He's only because my mom asked is his Instagram.
Really, only because my mom asked.
All one word. There are no spaces, no underscores.
I don't think I follow Trevor. I need to do that.
You should, man.
Yeah.
He's got the Tim Mills fabricated SAS kit with radius arms for the
Yeah.
05 and up Super Duty axles, and it's a nice kit. It was, he gave out the files for free. You just got to find somebody to laser cut it. So
That's
it's
awesome.
yeah,
I feel like this is going to be the full size episode.
Full size is where it's at.
I disagree.
It's more of a
You got
chat.
full widths. You're like
you got
you're like medium sized.
Mid size.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still park in the compact parking.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to why a full size of all things, Jeeps, Toyotas, S10s.
It's prob-
full
sorry.
size. Why full size?
It's probably not the best choice because it's heavy, it's long, it's wide. The body's wide, not just the axles. But for me, I bought a truck. I wanted a V8. I wanted 4-wheel drive, and when I was in college, that was the best way to do it. And so I've had that thing since 2009, and yeah, it's just progressed from there. So kind of what you talked about in the first, when we went and did your intro, Ian, was we went to the Badlands with TD, and I took it, and I was just, like, extremely surprised it was a stock truck.
Yep.
I don't even think, when I went the first time, it was before we all went, I didn't even have mud tires. I just had all-terrains, 30 or 29s or 30s or something like that, whatever the stock size is, and I was lifting a tire, and I was like, this is so cool,
We are wheeling.
Yeah, and then we went with John Eunice, who has got that old body, or had that old body style that was on 39.5 skinnies, boggers, and I saw that thing. It was solid axle swapped, and I was like, God, I got to do that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So,
And then you did.
and then I did. It
yeah.
took a while.
So lead us through that process. How'd you get into the solid axle to make it happen?
Well, I wanted to do it all through college. Graduated in end of 2011, and then I was making all the money because I didn't start paying my student loans back. And so I started saving, and I bought the Dana 60 and the 14 bolt, and we did the solid axle swap in your driveway, Ian.
We did.
In December, which we lucked out with the weather because it was like a little chilly, but not snowing or raining. Or
I would have joined you guys, but y'all were scared of
we
me.
were scared of you. You're a little too uppity.
too uppity.
Not uppity is not the right word.
Too excited on
You were
the
very
internet.
excited.
I was. I was like, man, somebody's got a solid axle, a full size Chevy in this town.
In a drive.
Like, let me be part of that. I have done this project.
And so, yeah, we did that. And yeah, it went pretty smoothly except for an oil pan fiasco where we were cutting off the IFS brackets and wailing on them with the hammer and hit that bracket right into the oil pan and put a nice big hole in the side of that thing.
I
You
forgot
didn't
about
need that one anyways. Too big. You ended up switching to a Firebird train.
I have a Firebird one now, but
Yeah.
we put a regular truck one back on it. And yeah, they're expensive, man.
Yeah.
So I found one on eBay, and it took like 4 or 5 days to ship. So we just finished the truck up the next weekend. But we got most of it done, and then I think I had to order a different pitman arm or something like that too. So it worked out.
I think we did.
squared
Did
it
we
away the second
not?
weekend.
So I thought we did one. We did like the front first, and then you drove it home.
We did. I started it on Friday, and then you guys all showed up. We did the whole front over the weekend. Oil pan still busted. Monday I took off work. I did the back here
Okay.
while you guys were all
Yep.
gone. And then didn't really work on it much during the week, I don't think, because I was waiting on the pitman arm and the oil pan. And then, I don't know, I think Friday night it came by and we put the oil pan on, made sure it worked. And then started doing the pitman arm on Saturday. And I think then we did like shock hoops on Sunday, and I drove it home.
Because I remember it being a pretty quick as far as, the game plan. The game plan was the key there with we knew what we were cutting out. We knew where we were putting brackets. We had everything, you had everything meticulously measured out. So it wasn't kind of a stand around and design it. It was already almost designed
Yeah.
on paper, essentially, which was very, very nice.
I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about this SAS swap. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty easy. And you're like, then we changed the oil pan. I'm like, ooh, no, count me out. Everything else, oh, fine.
It wasn't a planned step, but welcome.
Well, did you cut out the center cross member underneath the, or how does that, I guess, I don't know on a new body style.
My GMT 800, there's a bolt-in cross member for the diff.
Under the transmission.
So
yes, you just.
Oh, under the transmission?
I'm sorry, not under the transmission, under the oil pan.
There's nothing under the oil pan.
So once you took the diff out, it was easy to get the oil pan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, super easy.
So that's better then.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Especially with no axle under there. It was just 12 or 14 bolts or whatever, and you just pull them out.
Yeah.
Pop it on there and torque it down.
And it's an LS pan, so of course it doesn't leak, right?
Let you know there's oil still in it.
Well,
it's when it stops leaking.
Time for another story is it did start leaking, but it's because I smashed it on a rock. And that's when I went to the Firebird
And that's
pan.
when the Firebird pan.
So, but the downside of the Firebird pan is it's shallow, so on real steep climbs we lose oil pressure. So, might go back to truck pan, might put a baffle in it. We'll
Dry
see.
sump.
No. If anything, like what are they? Those AccuTune?
Like an accumulator.
Accumulator, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Oh, who was this selling those? Was it Summit or?
Summit sells one. I think it's AccuSump or AccuTune.
Yeah, and it's got like it has
2 or 3
oil.
quarts.
It has oil in it. It has like a spring. It's air loaded. Air loaded. And then once the oil pressure drops, then it opens the valve.
It's pretty much like a yin and yang thing, right?
Yeah.
It's got pressure in it, so if the oil pump stops creating pressure, then it keeps that pressure and it feeds oil back into the engine. But then the upside of that is that then your level goes up in your pan, so it never should run out unless you're like completely upside down.
Right. I was watching a video.
Yeah.
I was watching a video on that, and I was like, I was really impressed. It was cool to watch it because they had it in a clear tube, so you could actually watch it work.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty awesome.
It's a great idea. They're not cheap. They're cheaper than a dry sump.
$400?
Yeah, they're like $400 to $600.
I didn't think it was that bad. Yeah, dry sump. $1,200?
Yeah.
$1,500?
Probably more than that. I don't know.
Race car.
I don't even know.
I don't remember what Matt was talking about on the
Out of the
Cummins.
question.
Matt was talking about putting a dry sump on the Cummins. Before we did the
yeah,
breather and bypassed that breather thing, he was considering a dry sump on there, and it was going to be stout. Like, it was a pretty heavy price. But he's going to have to send it to a diesel shop to have them professionally get that done.
Ugh.
He's like, I don't feel comfortable enough to install it myself. I want to get it done right.
Yeah.
Then it was like a new pan and everything. Like, you had to do completely different everything for that. It would have been nice, though, because I think the pan was more, had like better clearance underneath. And so he could have lowered the
scavenging pans are really short.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on a diesel, they got those huge pans.
Mm-hmm.
So
he
LSs are nice because you can just steal one and put it in air quotes off of an LSA or a Corvette or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The LS9s, I think, came with them.
Wow.
Not LSAs.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah. So, after the SAS, that was on 37s. They did, going from IFS on 33s to SAS, locked in the rear because I was open on IFS.
Mm-hmm.
Going from IFS and 33s to 37s and a solid axle swap was like night and day performance wise.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
just doing all kinds of crazy, ground clearance, like flex and all that stuff. So much traction. But these 37s were like 35s, maybe. They might have measured out to like 34.
Were those MTRs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
17.
The bold or they were just short?
I think 37 MTRs are just short.
Okay.
Or at least they were the old style, so
Yeah.
I don't know if the Kevlars are better.
Yeah.
They're probably better. And then found a good deal on some 40s MTRs. And actually, Mike over here let me borrow Snow Day, his truck, which hashtag Snow Day.
Yeah. Snow Day.
During the solid axle swap, during the week when my truck didn't have an oil pan. And he lent me his farm truck at the time, a 6.5.
Old Clackety?
Yeah, old Clackety.
Clackety.
6.5 diesel to go get these 40s because it got better fuel mileage. And then bought him some beer or something. I don't remember what.
So wait, you were on 40s before you bought his 40s?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought his 40s was your first upgrade.
So these 40s were awful, but I didn't know. And so we went down. They performed great off-road, but one of them was out of round. Could never get it to balance. Tried Centromatics, tried balancing media, tried like a ton of balancing media. Nothing. It always vibrated like the crazy
Had
amount.
like a slip belt or something.
Yeah, broken belt or something.
What were they?
They were MTRs also, the old style.
Oh, I do remember those.
They hooked. It was like surprising going from 37s to 40s, like how much traction they had. So, but they didn't, I only had them like a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally one of the sidewalls blew and it wasn't on the one that was out around.
You're like, I'm over it.
I parked the truck after going wheeling one weekend. It came out the next day and it was flat, and I pumped it up and it was like just out of one of the sidewalls. And I could like push on it and make it stop. So something happened. It didn't like completely.
At least it got you home.
Got me home. Yeah.
That's the key.
So then Mike had the 40s on his show truck, and he wanted bigger tires, so he sold them to me for a good price, and then wheeled those pro comps until I sold them to you.
Yeah.
Steve.
Don't tell nobody I got 40s. Quit that.
I mean, wait, what? I don't know where they're.
Secret.
So, yeah, and then now I'm running the Mickey Thompson Baja Bosses, and they are awesome. I'm very happy with them.
I was looking at Baja Bosses the other day because the ones that you sold me are pretty bold. Mm-hmm. I think they'll work fine for most of the stuff I do, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be upset the first time I go on trail and like get into the mud a little bit.
Yeah, if it's real muddy, you'll be upset.
I'm gonna be a little upset. Well, because I got brand new TSL SXs on right now. So I go from that to a 40 with a,
Mm-hmm. The 40s will be good, I think, in dry rock.
I haven't decided yet if I'm going to mount those 40s or just sell them. And so I was looking at the Baja Bosses, and I was like, man, those things are $485 a tire. I'm like, they cut you a deal.
Yep.
Like, you got a swinging deal.
I don't think I can say what deal I got.
Unadvertised.
Four-wheel parts.
Swinging deal.
Yeah, four-wheel parts might be mad at me.
You got a swinging deal.
We were at the Jambo, the 4x4 Jamboree in Indy, and they were packing up the truck. I was swinging by, and I'm like, what kind of deals you got on 40s? And he's like, well, these Mickey Thompsons are the best ones I could probably get you. I was like, good. I was looking at those, and he was like, how's this number sound? And I was like, nah, I'll find something better down the road. And then he's like, hold on. He did the whole car salesman thing.
Right.
And so he gave me a really good deal, which I don't think I should divulge publicly.
Well, but here's the thing. So I was looking at the price of them, and I was like, man, it's kind of steep. It's not terrible. It's short of $2,000 for a set of 40s. And I've seen the Bosses on your truck, and they look amazing. I think they'd look amazing on low-key. And so I was like, well, I could, if I had cash in hand, I could call up 4-wheel parts and be like, hey, because they'll make you a deal on the phone.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I've had that, experience before. And I think that some of the guys out in California, the 4-wheel parts out there, deal in that a little more, like deal in that style tire a little more.
I know a guy.
You know a guy?
Yeah.
All right, a guy that's probably not listening to this podcast.
Not yet.
Unless Derek plugs you just right. Yeah, it's not gonna be soon. Like I said, I got a brand new set of 38.5s on there. I'm gonna run those. We're gonna see what breaks. I've got chromos in the front now, and I didn't have those before. And then I'll probably be putting chromos in the 9-inch here pretty soon, because that was the thing. I blew up the Yukon on one trip. I broke something internally on it, and then Randy's Ring and Pinion was cool. I called them up. They said it was out of warranty, but I could ship it back to them. I shipped it back to them. They rebuilt it for half price of what a new one was. I was like, well, I'll either buy a new one or buy this one for half price. And so they fixed it, and turnaround time was probably 7 to 10 days from the time it got there, the time it got shipped back out. It wasn't bad. They had it turned around pretty quick. So kudos to Randy's on that one. But yeah, 40s on a 9-inch and 40s on a 44. People are gonna be like, you can't do that.
But you can.
But I don't wheel that hard. I don't go out and do bouncer stuff.
Not yet. That's his job. That's Ian's job.
Give it time. I'm gonna watch
the dime piece is done.
Yep. I'm gonna watch you do bouncer stuff. Yep. I don't have I want to go slower. I want a crawl ratio closer to Braze or higher. But I need to figure out how to achieve that without an Atlas.
Yeah.
Or just go to an Atlas.
Or just buy an Atlas. I
don't have dime piece money, buddy.
231 doubler. Actually, I don't know what transfer case you have. Assume it's
231. Can I put an Eco Box in front of the 231?
Yeah.
Slipping into the next thing, because you've got an Eco Box on yours.
I do.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your transmission, transfer case, doubler.
So I did it all at once, because I bought a 4L80 from a truck that I actually drove before the guy pulled the transmission, and it was sitting in storage because I was in an apartment at the time. Just moved to Chicago, and then we moved to our house, and I brought it into the house, and I think we were there for a year or so before I got the wild hair to swap transmissions while the 4L60 was still working, because I'd already blown up a 60. And then TD, who we've referenced before, he had a truck that he was parting out, and so I put his 4L60 in, and that transmission was not treated well. If you guys ever have TD on the podcast, you should tell a story about the mud road that he got that truck stuck on. Anyway, similar truck as mine, direct swap the 60E in, and then it was in the back of my mind like, this is on borrowed time. So I pulled it. I did the same thing that the 4L80E driver or seller did, was I let the guys drive my truck before I sold it to them, so I got $400 or $500 for it.
Nice.
And then I think I listed it for 500 and they gave me 4, which was fine. And then put the 4L80 in, and I like the 4L80. I like the confidence that I have that it's not going to break. The gearing sucks in first gear. It's a 248 to 1.
That's what the Cherokee is.
Yeah, so it's not great. The doubler was necessary. Like if I put it in like the Ego Box low, which is the same low as the normal 241 or whatever, you need a lot of throttle to like get to crawl up stuff. Double low just goes up at very little drama, very little throttle.
What gears do you have in your rear ends?
I got 456s, so I built the truck originally for 38s. I didn't think I was going to go to 40s, so 456 made sense. Yeah, I know, I was stupid. I was young and dumb.
I mean, in reality, I built the Cherokee for 40s, but I didn't think I was going to go to 42s.
Right.
And by the time you buy 43s, and then 47s.
And then why stop there? Next thing you know, you run ag tires.
Yeah, I certainly didn't build the truck for 42s, which it may or may not get in the future.
Yeah.
I got to rework the whole front suspension, I think, to make 42s fit, so we'll see. That might come with...
Sounds like you need a regear, too.
Yes.
513s?
So I have 513s in the garage.
Oh, you already have them?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
I got a good deal on some used ones. I might do new in the rear just since that one goes on the highway.
How close on a 40-inch tire, how close are you to a stock ratio?
100% close. It's exact.
You're dead on.
I never reprogrammed my speedometer.
No.
When I had the 37s, I just did the math in my head.
Right.
And then I went to the 40s, and it's dead nuts.
So it's like having a stock truck.
Except that the tires weigh more.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more wind resistance.
Yeah.
So on the highway, the 456s are not ideal. So I think 513s will be right about perfect for highway driving.
For 40s, right.
I would like more gear off-road, but the difference between 513s and 538s is so minimal on off-road. The crawl ratio doesn't change much, so...
I was just doing the calculations the other day on mine. I thought that when I built mine with 513s and 38.5s, because that's what I built it around, I thought that I had that number right. I thought I had it dead on. I was like, yeah, this will be just like stock. And I redid the math on it. And what it comes out to is the gear, the way it's the final ratio right now would be the same as having stock Jeep with 373s instead of the 355s it came with.
Yep.
So I'm slightly under.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. I don't think you need to be way under. But on a dedicated trail rig, which I know you talk about, streeting this.
Almost
thing
street,
now.
yeah.
Yep. On a dedicated trail rig, I go as low as possible.
Yeah.
But if you're going to drive it on the street, you need something that's not going to be screaming on the highway,
So-
especially if you're going to drive to Moab, which is
little
from here 20 hours away.
Right.
Coming up soon.
A little something that not a whole lot of people know about. But we'll share it with you guys because you guys like listening to the podcast. Matt, on his project before he bought the Cummins crawler, he acquired your old 14 bolt and a Dana 60 center housing. So he has everything out to the C's, but he doesn't have any of the outers. And the housing itself's empty, and he wants it out of his way. So
I don't want it back.
It's making its it's making its way to my shed.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have had acquired a set of tons.
A shaved
14 and a 60 out of an 89 F250.
It's funny because I got rid of that shaved 14 because it was foaming the fluid. I thought it was overheating, but it wasn't. It just there's a TSB out there for 14 bolts from like Old Body Styles that you need to move the breather from the chunk to the axle tube, and I did it right before I swapped in my like GMT 814 bolt.
Yeah.
And it fixed it. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's already fixed.
Yeah, so it's already fixed. But I swapped to the new body style 14 bolt because I wanted the
internal e-brake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Drum and hat.
The integrated. Yeah. Drum and hat.
It works pretty well if you keep new parts in it.
Yeah. Yep. I just redid the drum and that style in the KJ, and it's still garbage. It needs better adjusted, I think. But yeah.
The 14 bolt parts are a little bigger than the ones in the KJ, I'm betting.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
And it's different. The KJ itself, like if you pull the disc off the back of it, it's literally like looking at a standard brake drum setup. It's not like the big... Is yours like the single piece?
It's one piece.
Yeah, yours single piece. This one's not. It looks just like standard drums. It has two shoes, all your adjusters and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to talking about full-sizedness.
Yeah.
Mike, do you like your full size?
Well, it's big.
It's big. You guys can see, if you guys follow us on Instagram, I posted Mike's truck. Did I post that in the...
I believe so.
It's not on the story. It was on the page?
It's posted on the page, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
You're on the the gram. You gram it up real quick and find out.
I was just checking out some internal cage
I don't see it.
pictures.
You posted it somewhere because I saw you guys post it, but I don't know where.
It's too much social.
Oh, I think I put it on the story. I'll post a picture.
Oh yeah,
of
because I remember because I accidentally clicked the wrong. You posted it for vote.
Yeah.
And I accidentally clicked the wrong thing because I was just clicking through, and I was like, change, dang it! I can't believe I voted for not full size or something like that.
I posted a picture that I took of Mike's truck over at Flat Nasty. It was a really cool picture. He was sitting parked on a hill with the wheels cocked. I'm sure some of you guys saw it on the story. But he was helping Derek at the time, so his truck was kind of sitting there cocked. It looked awesome. And I posted on the story, and the poll I put with it was love it or list it.
I clicked list it just because why not?
You and me both.
You guys are dicks.
Mine was accidental.
Probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite picture of that truck. I love it. It just looks awesome.
So back to the why a full, well, not why a full size, but back to the full sizes are big. They don't call it full size for nothing. But
full size for nothing.
Both Mike and I have shortened wheelbases on ours. So Mike went real short. He's like 123 inch from 143 or something. Mine was 148 with the front axle moved forward and the rear axle moved back a little bit. And so now I'm at 133, which is a lot better.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Tell us about the bed.
The bed, so I hate bodywork. Oh my God, I hate it so much.
Everyone does.
In Illinois with the rust, I got to keep up with that. It's a yearly, maintenance thing or whatever. So I wanted to shorten the bed, but I didn't want to have to paint it. So all of my weld seams are internal. I basically took the front header panel out of the bed and pushed it back. But I left a little bit overlap, and then I used body epoxy, and I overlapped the outer bed skin onto that inner front wall of the bed.
Basically like factory.
Yeah, kind of, except that their welds are on the inside of the front of the bed, and so mine are now on the outside. Well, I don't have any welds, but the epoxy is just 2 layers of the bed, and so and then I just put a little thing, like a rub strip to keep.
So did you use panel bond for that?
Yeah, 3M something. Okay. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but yeah, it's just panel bond, 2-part adhesive. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. If I do say so myself, it turned out pretty dang slick.
Yeah, you can't even tell.
Yeah, I think
unless you get up on it, you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, on the driver's side, it looks really good. On the passenger side, my cut line must have been off a little bit because it doesn't perfectly match the cab, but whatever.
It's on the passenger side for a reason.
I'm on the not urgent hunt for a new bed because my fenders or my wheel wells on the bed are completely gone. There's a reason why I have fender flares.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They'd be gone. I wouldn't have fender flares if I didn't have those gaping holes in the bed.
I like the flares, though. It looks good.
Looks factory.
Yeah.
Just in the back, I want to make the wheel well bigger.
When you had it on 37s originally, I thought that it looked on 37s like it should have looked from the factory.
It was a little high, but otherwise I agree.
It looked good, though.
Yeah. They were like, but they measured out to like 35, so it was like pre-power wagon.
Yeah, pre-power wagon.
Or I guess it was post technically, but
the GM Power Wagon that never was.
It never was.
Right, because GM's not cool enough to do that.
No, they're not.
Take notes.
Although the new Tahoe with that air ride suspension, that's pretty unique. I don't like the IRS,
but it looks like when that thing stands up, you're like, what?
Yeah. But I see most people.
Cool that you can get over stuff, but boy, you look goofy doing it.
Some people are going to buy that thing and put 35s on it and never drop it down again because it won't be able to.
Oh, that would probably look okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
all your geometry is just whacked all the time.
So, I don't know if you want to go into any of the timeline stuff, but
we can address that. So, when did you get 40s?
So I got the 40s in 2015. That was when I got the old style MTRs. Hated them, but I wasn't driving the truck a whole lot because I worked real far, so I drove my other car. I had a beater at the time.
You'd already moved back up to Chicago by then? Or up to Chicago? Wow.
Yep.
Man, it's been that long.
Time flies and you're having fun. Yep.
Fact.
Yeah, I never had... So I used to live in the same town as Steve and Ian and Mike. And then I moved to Chicago in 2015. And then I had the 40s when I moved. I just never put them on because the 37s still had tread, and they were finally getting kind of bald. And so I came down and had Mike mount the 40s. So far, the only guy that's mounted my 40s for me.
Mike's tire service.
And Steve, you should post that picture because Steve and I came down and Steve took pictures of me doing big smoky burnouts on the 37s.
Yep.
That was
the
fun.
37s?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Had the 40s in the bed while doing
like
burnout with the 37s. It was like kind of macabre.
Good for I'll see if I can find one of those and post that to the podcast page.
Yeah, and so then I wheeled with the 40s for a while. I don't remember when I got the pro comps from Mike, probably 2017 or something like that.
Yeah, probably about right.
I don't really know. I'd have to look it up.
You bought them at
Actually,
the
no, it's
Jambo?
probably 2016 because
Yeah.
I had them for about 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say because.
Yeah.
And how long did you, Mike? How long did you have them before he bought them? A month, 2 months?
I think I put 150 miles on it. Drove it to the Jamboree one
Yeah,
time.
but you had them like 6 or 8 months
Something like that.
because it's a show truck.
Yeah.
Buyer's,
it's-
buyer's remorse much?
no, I did okay.
Yeah.
Oh, these look great.
It worked out for all parties.
You wanted a
Exactly.
20.
We're friends.
You
We're
wanted to
friends.
go to a 20-inch wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 41s.
Something like
Oh,
that.
fancy.
Yeah.
Whatever a Unimog takes.
Yep.
Unimog tires.
Yeah,
on
the
short
metric
trip.
41s.
Yeah. Metric 41.
So I upgraded the Pro Comps, and then going from the MTRs to the Pro Comps was night and day too, because it's just 14 years newer, 12 years newer rubber, probably better tread pattern. Those Pro Comps worked really well. I really love them. I don't like doing tires twice if I can help it. So that's why I didn't go with the Pro Comps again, but I would have gladly gone with the Pro Comps again if they were the right price.
Yeah. And they are usually.
They are
You
usuly.
can buy them right.
I mean, they shook up the industry for 40s, man. When they came
Yeah.
out with a $400 40,
Yep.
nobody could come close.
Yeah.
Now everybody's starting to come
Yeah,
close.
now everybody's getting
Yeah.
close, but yeah. I saw the other day, maybe a month and a half ago or so, somebody on eBay was selling Trep radials, set of 5, $1,100. Or no, set of 5, $1,400. Set of 4, $1,100.
It's a good deal.
I mean, like, maybe I don't want a radial Trip, but at the same time, $1,100. Even if I even if I just run them as a street tire, like that's a deal.
Yeah.
Fast as you change tires, though.
Shut
too.
your mouth.
That's you know, because I'm like, I don't want to change tires every time, but dude, that's like your hobby.
It's like every couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the tires.
No, yeah. I mean, the trips I think are probably pretty good tires. I don't know anybody's actually run the radial trips. The
only
bias
review-
trips
yeah.
are gnarly.
Oh yeah, but I can't.
That's like my
run,
favorite tire right now.
Well, I can't run. I can run a bias, but I can't run the sticky because the stickies. I was watching, and I think I said this on one of the last episodes. I was watching Bleep and Jeep, and he did the review on the stickies. He said at 32, anything under freezing, they start to crack.
That's the bias too.
That's the bias too.
I don't know.
And I can't play that game.
I need to look at because I was gonna run the bias. I was just
Yeah.
like, screw it, I'll deal with the flat spotting in the winter because that tire is
Spanish.
just so badass.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So beautiful. It's still my favorite tire.
Yeah.
But I emailed Maxxis because they say you're not supposed to run them under 32 on their website. And I emailed them. They're like, no, it hits the glass transition temperature. That's why I can't run summer tires
Yeah.
on like a sports car in the winter because the rubber gets so hard, you'll just try to turn and it's plastic. It's not rubber anymore.
Well, that sounds like a good time. I think I will buy a set of those.
No. 'Cause it's not like you want it to happen.
Anybody up for 4-wheel drive donuts?
Yeah.
On dry pavement?
We'll get a video of that.
Yep.
Bumpy.
Can I borrow your
before we're done.
stickies?
Nope. You gotta pay before they leave the house.
Yeah, deposit half down.
Yeah, so that's why.
Or all
That's
down.
why I really love the look of the Trip, but I don't have warm storage. Like I don't have climate controlled storage that I can put my Jeep in. So
Oh,
if I
yeah,
put them
yeah.
on there, they're going to be on there.
outside.
Yeah, the
they're gonna
stickies
sit
you got to
outside
worry
the snow.
about even just not moving the vehicle, and you can run into that issue.
Just moving it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you, and I don't even know if you leave it sit. But either way, I don't have
Jack stands.
I don't have that kind of
Luxury.
yeah. Currently, I don't have a place that I can store it that's heated. So that's just kind of out of the question for me now.
Yeah.
So if I don't know what I would go to get over a 40, but I won't go over a 40 until I go to tons.
Ag tires.
Well,
I'm not doing ag tires. I want to drive on the street.
I sure as heck won't be going stickies because I drive my truck everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt on Believe in Jeep was saying that he thought they'd only get maybe 1,000 miles out of those tires on the road.
Probably.
I was like, that sounds crazy. 1,000 miles? That's not that far.
It's not.
Just drive
maybe,
it straight.
maybe a little more,
I would think a little more than that. I would think
but
5,000.
definitely less than
but
5. No, I think less than 5.
Less than 5,000 miles.
On,
Bald.
like his, there's like
That's ridiculous.
oh,
They're sticky.
they're so soft.
Ridiculous.
So let's back up. You're gonna talk
Okay.
about you drive it everywhere.
Getting off track.
No trailer.
No trailer.
Which is epic. I hate it. We've all discussed
We went over
why I
this.
hate
You
it,
guys went over this.
but I love that
Hashtag
people
trailers
do
are
it.
for boats?
Yeah, trailers are for boats.
That's a good hashtag.
Oh, shut your mouth.
But so Moab is a thing. So tell us about that because that's as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a damn impressive trip. That you could drive it, wheel it, and credit that seeing pictures and videos you weren't just cruising around.
No.
Wheeling. I mean there was some impressive wheeling. And, oh, by the way, I don't even know how many miles that is from home.
1,400.
Yeah, and then drove there and back. So I'm damn impressed with it.
So, two things, because I've been there twice now. and it's awesome. I highly recommend Moab. Sorry, I'm making all kinds of noise because I'm a fidgeter. I highly recommend Moab.
Just put it in your hand like this and put it underneath the table.
I'm going to be fidgeting under the
That's
table.
fine. You
All
can
right.
fidget under the table. Just don't make noise with my finger.
I've been to Moab twice. First time was right after I shortened the wheelbase. I had literally one trip, and the only reason I did that one trip is because I wanted to shake it down, make sure I didn't break everything immediately.
Yeah.
So actually, there were supposed to be two trips, or no. There's supposed to be one trip down to the Badlands, close-ish to me. It's like 3 hours. For these guys, it's like an hour and a half. And I went there one time with Mike was shaking down Snow Day. I was going to shake mine down. Growy was there on his solid axle swap, Maroon 03 or 04. And I got there, put it in front-wheel drive to do a front dig just to play around, and I broke the double cardan because this was really stupid. I broke the centering stud pressing the U-joints in on the press, which is why I don't use a press anymore to do U-joints. I just use a hammer because it's faster and safer.
That's the weirdest thing. It's safer to beat on these with a hammer than just to press it in nicely.
Because I don't think you're strong enough to break that centering stud, but it pressed with 20 tons.
Sure, yeah.
So I tried welding it back together. It didn't work, obviously. And I'm glad I broke it because that would have sucked to break it in Moab.
Oh, man.
And I didn't have my spare shaft at the time. So we'll get into the spares discussion later, I guess.
Spare shaft.
But so I drove it back front wheel drive. Also was dealing with some serious leakage from the doubler.
That was on your rear shaft.
That was in the front shaft.
Oh, you drove back in two-wheel drive.
Rear wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said front wheel drive.
Sorry, I might have misspoke.
That's all right. Just checking.
So yeah, drove it back in rear wheel drive. Still was dealing with that. So I fixed the leak. Got a new double cardan put on the drive shaft. And then I went down in the middle of the week. The Wednesday before we were supposed to leave for Colorado and Moab, went down to the Badlands, wheeled by myself, and beat on it pretty darn hard. I did some obstacles I'd never done before just because of the shortened wheelbase, and I welded the front diff. So my front diff up until that point was open.
It was life-changing.
It was life-changing.
Life-changing.
Traction in the front, life-changing. And you guys should do a podcast about locker in the front versus weld in the rear versus weld in the front. Like, what combination is best? Because there's a lot of discussion on the internet right now.
What combination is the best?
Yeah.
Lockers?
Well,
and rear?
you definitely want lockers. But do you want an automatic or do you want it selectable? Do you want welded?
See, Matt and I get into this conversation also.
That's what I'm saying. You should have a podcast because I'll never finish this one if you start talking about it.
All right. Next time, fellas.
Yeah.
And girls.
So I beat on it. It works. Drive it back home. Pack the truck up. Drive to Moab. And my dog's doing super dog with the rear paws out. It's hilarious.
I love that they do that.
We drove, packed the truck up, drove to Colorado. We did Rocky Mountain National Park. It was kind of to look at our wedding venue. It was the year before we got married. And we looked at the wedding venue. That's when we drove up Pikes Peak in the truck. We did Rocky Mountain National Park. We did all kinds of hiking. And then we spent a few days in Moab. Did Moab Rim Trail first. Don't recommend that. Don't do that. If you've never been to Moab, it's scary.
Oh, really?
I didn't have the roll cage at the time.
Yeah.
My wife was with, or my fiance at the time, she was with me. She was like along for the ride, but she was holding it together. She was freaking out. I was freaking out. I hate off camber. Moab Rim, the whole way up, you're off camber. The whole way up. And it's not like you just flop over. You could potentially roll down like an 80-foot cliff.
Right.
So you're getting hang time on the
Sounds
way
familiar.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like
Scarier than Windrock.
scarier than when.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Like
literally
a
just a drop off. I mean, you're dropping like 80 feet down to nothing. There's a picture of some guy, it was a Toyota. He rolled twice and had his front wheels hanging off the edge.
I think I saw that. I
Yeah.
feel like I saw that, and that was damn impressive.
Offroad Recovery Products, I think, Instagram. Extreme 4x4 out in Moab. They do tours and stuff. He went out and recovered them.
Oh, really?
So
That's nice.
he's an awesome guy, by the way. If you're ever in Moab and you want to do a tour or anything like that, I'll take you. He's got some awesome rigs, like safari style.
Who's that?
Dave Hellman, I think.
And this what?
His name's Dave.
Okay.
Extreme 4x4 Tours.
Extreme 4x4 tours. Okay.
Yeah, out in Moab.
I'm on.
Moab Reservation Center. They're good people. They help out a lot with the full-size invasion runs. So, yeah.
Is that coming up?
It's April.
It's an okay. It's April.
It's the week before Easter Jeep Safari.
Yeah, I
now.
did read that they're doing it the week before Easter Jeep because I think they cited some permitting issues with the certain trails they want to run, and then they also figure it'll work a little better with the Easter Jeep. time frame, and people being in town. So
Yeah, so they the Red Rock 4-wheelers who run Easter Jeep Safari, they only allow non-Red Rock runs or Red Rock groups to have three registered trail days a week or during the week.
Yeah.
Last year I think it was 4 or 5, so they did the 4 or 5, and then they had some unofficial trail runs. But yeah, 3's not really. Nobody wants to drive out there and only do 3 registered trail days.
Yeah.
So they're doing it the week before because then it's basically unlimited. I think Power Wagons and Moab does it after Easter Jeep Safari. So it kind of makes more sense. It sucks because you're not there during Easter Jeep Safari because that was wild. I'll get it when I talk about my second trip to Moab, which was for that. I'll talk about that. But yeah, so we did Moab
I didn't know
first.
twice.
Yeah, I've been there twice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
how did I miss that?
I don't know. So we went out.
Don't cram hard enough.
Yep.
We went out there the first time. Fiance in tow. We did Moab Rim. Freaked out. It was scary. If I was doing it with like a spotter who knew the area, or even somebody else, like if I was there with one of you guys, I would have felt a lot better about it.
Right.
But she's spotting me. She's never spotted me before,
Right.
Because we don't go off-roading together that much. Yeah. And I'm like, just tell me when the wheel's about to fall off this edge. And she's like, okay, you got a foot, 2 foot, whatever.
I mean, they're pretty. I mean, Jess is pretty good about it when.
She was a great spotter,
Yeah.
for the record.
That's some trial by fire there.
But yeah,
that's
exactly.
right, yeah.
It's scary. And so I'm like, I would let you do it, but I don't want you to like accidentally hit the wrong pedal.
Yep.
And
No pressure. It's just if if you mess up, I gotta die.
Yeah. End result.
and you
is
got to
not
walk
good.
home 1,400 miles.
You probably Uber.
Yeah, it would be an expensive Uber ride, but you
life
should
is-
sell the truck for it.
Yeah. Yeah. What's left of the truck?
Yeah, what's left of it. So we did that, and then that was scary. We camped up in the LaSalle. I was dealing with some overheating issues too because it was like 107. I need a bigger radiator, which is fixed now. I got a bigger radiator and bigger fans. But we drove up into the mountains because it was 107 down low, and then you go up in the mountains and it's 80 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually cold in the morning when we woke up. We didn't really
Right.
quite pack enough.
So we are rounding the 40-minute mark here. Roughly.
Yeah.
Just over 40 minutes. Because Ian forgot to start the timer. We're about 6.5 minutes behind on the timer. So let's buzz through these two other things here. So the internal cage.
Internal cage.
Tell us
put in,
where that came from, when you did it, how you did it.
So you need a cage for the Ultimate Adventure. That's my goal for the truck. Make the Ultimate Adventure. Hopefully it's still going on. I don't know. They stopped printing Peterson's. I don't know if
You know what though? I would feel like they would still
probably
do
still
that
do it, 'cause
because
they
that
do the
wasn't
videos.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, with social media being so important these days, I don't see why you
Yeah.
couldn't do it for
Yeah.
social media versus a magazine. So
I hope so. So I made the Dirty Dozen in 2018. I didn't apply in 2019 because of the wedding.
Pretty busy or
Just
something?
didn't- Yeah, a little busy.
Couple things
And
to do.
actually, since they did it in August this year for the Alaska trip, it would have been during my wedding. Like
Yeah.
I literally saw somebody driving on the highway.
Watching that footage, you didn't miss much. That's not your speed.
Not my style of wheeling.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been epic, I'm sure.
To
but-
see it, the views.
Yeah, the views would have been
the
epic.
adventure itself would have been epic.
Yeah.
But the wheeling that they did is not your speed, not my speed.
My truck's not really built for that kind of mud.
Yeah,
Like I don't
big mud
have
truck.
power.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
5.3.
you definitely need it for that.
Stock
That's what it
5.3.
looked like.
So. But
anyway.
I mean, like Harry Wagner did it in a Raymond F-150, which is not a huge power maker.
I thought the coverage this year. Who is it? Offroad Power Sports. Is
Power
it?
Products.
Power Products. Yeah, their coverage of that was
They do
awesome.
really good. They got a really good marketing department.
They're like the videos of it.
Yeah.
were really nicely shot.
So okay.
Internal cage.
Yep. Okay. We came back from that Moab trip. That trip we put 4,300 miles on the truck right after I shortened the wheelbase and did all that stuff, and it worked
That was
flawlessly.
in mid 18.
Mid 18. Yep.
Okay.
Just went on some local-ish wheeling trips. Went to Flat Nasty, but nothing too far. And then in the spring, I was like, I did no, I'd already done the 480 and doubler swap. I did all that when I shortened the wheelbase. I put the cage in because it's a requirement for Ultimate Adventure. I made the Dirty Dozen in 2018 and never put it in, so I wanted to do it so that I could dial it in before I make
Not be
Ultimate
rushed.
Adventure.
And where'd you is that a full custom cage or?
I got it from TE Designs.
Okay.
It was a pre-bent cage, kind of built for pre-runners. I made some modifications to it because I wanted it more livable on the highway. So I wanted to keep the headliner for heat and noise. I isolated the cage to the frame with some poly bushings. I did as slick as I could, just to make sure that it's not gonna, because it still bolts through the floor like it should, but I don't have the body on. It's on poly bushings.
Right.
So
It's really clean. Do you have pictures of that on your Instagram?
Yep, I got tons of pictures of it on my Instagram.
Yeah,
Just
check
scroll
that
back
out,
to
'cause-
early 2019.
his install on that cage is really clean. Did you seal the holes in the floor yet?
Yeah, when they're pinch plates.
Oh, pinch plates.
So when I put the two pinch plates together, I put a bunch of silicone through the ones that had holes.
I know you were talking about those Seals-Its that I have.
Yeah, that would be great for a rigid cage going literally through a floor body. Yeah,
without pinch plates.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I did that. It works really well. It doesn't add much or any noise really compared to what it was before. I put all kinds of sound deadening in when the interior was out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I would say that was almost as much work as a solid axle swap. Maybe more.
Yeah.
Just less uncertainty. Because the truck's still going to work.
Right. It's still going to work, just going to have a lot of cage in it.
Yeah. So then the next time, I went to Moab for Easter Jeep, or for Full Size Evasion, which was during Easter Jeep Safari, which was crazy. Like 5,000 rigs in this little tiny town, driving around. Like crazy Jeeps, like all these show vehicles for the sponsors that are there. It was nuts. I highly recommend it. Everybody try it at some point in their life. It was awesome. The Full Size Invasion run was awesome. I missed the first couple just because I couldn't get enough time off, and I was finishing the cage up the 2 days before I left. But yeah, I brought my mountain bike out there. I tried to make my cage kind of modular. So I put in the extended cab area, I put a mountain bike mount. So I mounted the mountain bike out there and did some mountain biking when I was in Moab too. So it's an all-purpose adventure vehicle.
Yeah.
The bike mount is pretty awesome. On I was just looking at some pictures of that. That was pretty cool to see the mountain bike in the back of the truck, but not just like, let me throw it in the back.
Yeah.
Like legitimately mounted. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I use like hose clamps and half tubes to bolt it in, or to quote bolt it into the cage, and then it's just got a normal mountain bike fork mount, and then the other wheel is just kind of bungeed around the cage tube. But it just perfectly fits. It's pretty. I was so happy with how I was lucky with that one. Anyway, so I went out there, did Full Size Invasion runs. We did Behind the Rocks the first day, and Harry Wagner rode with me, which was awesome because he and I had talked before I went out there about taking some pictures of my truck and possibly doing a feature, which it was ultimately featured as in the December 2019 issue.
Awesome.
Of Peterson's 4-Wheel and Off-Road, so check that out. Also give Harry Situations a follow on Instagram. He's an awesome photographer and an awesome dude. So I didn't have anybody in my passenger seat, and he got to ride with me, or he rode with me for a lot of Behind the Rocks, and he's a really cool guy. Loves the sport. He's really knowledgeable. He loves talking to people about their how they got to where they are and what kind of fun stuff they do, and he also really likes people that drive their rigs. So every rig that was featured in that issue was driven to
on the trail, driven to, wheeled. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and driven home. I like it. It can be nerve-wracking at times, but if you build it and you bring the right spare parts, then it should be good to go. So I've got like 160 or 180 pounds probably of spare axle shafts.
So this kind of leads into what we want to kind of talk about a little bit too, is for me, you can throw a bunch of crap in your tow rig, you can throw a bunch of spare parts in your tow rig, you clean the bed out when you're done, cool wheeling trip. Not when you're driving 1,400 miles somewhere. You got to pack that. You only got so much room to pack everything from camping gear, tools, parts. You can only take so much crap with you. So I don't know if you want to start with some camping stuff or tools or parts, but I'm interested to see if you've got some. Obviously, you've done quite a bit of wheeling over the years, so it's kind of, I'm sure you've learned some tricks and tips to like packing stuff or what you should or shouldn't carry or stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly learning what works well and what doesn't. So, there's going to be mistakes. I know what stuff I need to bring now. Obviously you need a tent, you need sleeping bags, you need clothes, you need all that stuff that you go on any normal camping trip.
Yep.
You need your cooking stuff, whatever. Any car camping trip basically is what I bring with me. I have tried to minimalize it as much as possible because we also do some backpacking. Not a lot, we're not extreme about it, but it definitely helps bring the size of stuff that you camp with down and the weight. And weight with a full size is apparently
quite important.
Yeah, I was very surprised at how much my truck weighed, and I'm not going to say it on this podcast yet because I will talk about maybe doing like a guessing game or something like that offline. But anyway, my truck is heavy. But that's because you got to bring all this stuff. So I have bed drawers with all my tools. Like the tools and the spare parts are really, like, if you're gonna wheel, you need to be able to get home. And so I've got bed drawers in my truck that I put on when I had a topper for a while before I shortened the wheelbase. and getting into like a truck bed toolbox was darn near impossible. And with the bed shortened now, if I had a truck bed toolbox and the 40-inch spare, that'd be the whole bed.
Yeah.
So I have, I don't know, they're probably like 11 inches tall on the bed. It's kind of like the decked system, except not decked.
Okay.
I got some used, Adrian steel drawers that are, weatherproof and everything. And so all my tools in there, a lot of my recovery gear that's not like super critical, like all my winch stuff's in the cab in case I get into a weird situation, can't open the bed.
Yep.
But everything else, anything additional is in the bed drawers. So all the tools, anything I need to do, I can rebuild an axle, I can pull a transfer case, I can do drive shafts, I can do U-joints, whatever. And then also building the truck kind of smartly, if that was a word, try and minimize the number of spare parts you have to carry. So the part that I don't like about the 14 bolt is that each axle shaft is a different length. Mm-hmm. So you have to carry both, or you have to get a custom shaft that's got like super long splines. You can cut it off, which I might do someday. Also, they're not the weakest point.
Yeah,
either, But I try and run 1410 U-joints on the whole drivetrain, so I only have to carry the one U-joint. Only carry one stub shaft for the Dana 60. Obviously, you have to carry both inners. And speaking of that, I hadn't broken an inner shaft until we went to S'more in November. So Dana 60 is pretty stout, even with 40s. But now it's got chromos.
Yeah, now it has chromos.
Yeah.
Those stock shafts.
Yeah, they were stock neck down shafts too.
Do you really attribute that break to the bosses?
Kind of. I mean, a lot of it is just that particular obstacle had an undercut. There was a lot of traction. Only one of the front tires was touching the ground. The other one's basically in the air. It was not actually in the air, but it was not doing anything.
Not doing it, yeah.
And so, and it was like, I mean, we were almost getting my truck up, but this comes back to the weight thing. The lighter your rig is, the easier it is on parts.
Unless you break things.
And so, yeah, I mean, I was watching the tire like wrinkle wall. And I had like 12 or 13 PSI in it, so like it was hooking. It's a brand new tire. It should perform well. I'm sure the Pro Comps, if they were brand new, would have done the same thing. But it was just, I mean, that was the hardest I'd ever like been on it in double O since I'd put the doubler in.
Okay.
So
So just
I found the limit.
fatigue,
But now the limit's higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would I would think so for sure.
Well, it definitely is. We'll see what the new limit.
They're brand new. Two, they're 4340. You're running on a stock shaft, so it's probably what,
I had
20 or 30 something years old.
79, 40. 40 years old.
Yeah.
Life expectancy is
Less than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It owed you
I
nothing.
had the stubs were chromos because I upgraded to 35 spline when I put the Yukon hubs in, which those things are beefy. I highly recommend the Yukon hubs over any regular hub. Because like you can get lifetime warranty on a worn.
Your lockouts.
Yeah, on the locking hubs. Yeah, you can get a lifetime warranty on a worn, but it doesn't help you when it breaks on the trail.
Yeah.
Nope.
You got to send it back in. So unless you have a spare set or spare one.
That goes right on the whole Tommy boy thing. I can shit in a box and mark a guarantee if you want. I got spare time.
But yeah, so like, whatever. I got a spare rear drive shaft. I got a spare front drive shaft now. So if either of those break, I can keep wheeling, or I can at least drive home. The craziest break that I've had was at S'more also, was in addition to the axle shaft I had fixed in an hour. Yeah. Or an hour and a half. Something came up in my undercarriage, to quote Dukes of Hazzard or whatever. Jessica Simpson. She's like, something popped up in my undercarriage. Anyway, something got up and lodged in between the transmission cross member and the transmission, dent the pan and broke the shift solenoids.
No wild.
Wouldn't shift out of second gear. Mike was riding with me, and I was trying to show him like, oh, look at all the cool stuff the doubler does, trying to do front digs and whatnot. And I'm like, it seems low on power, and then we realized it's in second, stuck in second. I drove up and down the street, wouldn't shift out of second, pulled the pan, and both of those shift solenoids are broken.
If only there was somebody that built a skid plate for that.
Shut up. Well, who? Actually, tell me.
Yourself.
Yeah.
If only there was someone engineering a skid plate.
If only I had a design. Oh, I do. Yeah, I've just been dragging my feet on that. But the cross members that are under the truck.
I bet you stop doing that.
Huh?
I said, I'll bet you stop doing that.
Start dragging my feet? Yeah. I mean, I don't really drag much. I mean, the frame I drag a lot, but not much stuff comes up in between. Like there's a little bit of scrapes on the 205, but
just happens.
That's it. Yeah. It just happens, and when it happens, it's usually bad.
Yep.
So yeah, I got fully belly skids in mind, and then that's where my spares will go. They'll get bolted. I'm gonna like vacuum seal them or something with a bunch of grease, and then stick them up on top of the skid plates so that, I mean, it's kind of a worst case scenario thing.
You're going to do, wait, what?
That's a trick.
To keep the weight low, because they're like, I don't know, I can barely lift this box of all my spare shafts.
Yeah.
On
You're going to put them on your belly skid.
the top.
On the top. You have enough room for that? Man, must be.
That is trick. That's
Hashtag full size.
Not getting that with a body drop test in.
You are not.
Nope.
No. Or a Cherokee.
Yeah, well, I have a frame, so, and a body lift.
Oh, poking at me, are you?
No. No, nothing.
Why don't we get back to talking about your overlanding?
Yeah, so Steve calls it overlanding. I hate that word because I don't have rooftop tents. I don't got max tracks. I don't have all those LEDs.
I would technically call it either adventuring or overrocking.
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 One of the guys up in the East Coast calls it extreme overlanding.
Extreme overlanding. Yeah, that's a good term for it. It really is just adventuring.
It's adventuring.
It's adventuring. It's you built a purpose-built rig to go out and go wherever you want it to go.
The ultimate adventure. I mean, the ultimate
that's
adventure. That's my rig is.
That's why
I
you
built
built
it
it.
for the ultimate adventure.
Unfortunately,
Once I saw the 2008 Ultimate Adventure Z71 that had a shortened bed and had, it had links and all that crazy stuff because it was
you're getting there.
But yeah, I'm getting there. But that was a huge inspiration for my truck.
Yeah.
They drive that thing everywhere. I think Evo manufacturing guys own it now. It wasn't it over a while, but that thing is sweet.
So the fact that you want to drive it everywhere, I mean, you do see a lot of posts about doing like general maintenance stuff, and I'll be the first to admit that it's a lot. You can do a lot less maintenance if you're going to throw it on a trailer. It's not smart, but it happens. But I would imagine if you're going to drive your stuff 1,400 miles, you're not going on a wheeling trip, parking it, and nothing broke. Let's go on another one. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's do you have a checklist of things that you check specifically after like a long wheel trip, or is it kind of a general?
I mean, I know kind of the normal maintenance interval. For a while, before I got the Yukon locking hubs, I was having issues with water getting in the hubs, and so I'd pull those every single trip, make sure there's no water in them. If there was, I'd repack the bearings and all that stuff. I'd grease the tie rod ends and all the greasable joints every single time before I go on a wheeling trip, or sometimes after if I'm not planning on going on one in a while, especially since I drive in the winter. I drive it. Okay, that's another thing, is drive it. If you have a truck that is street legal, drive it. Figure out what the noises are. If there's a new noise, fix it. Like when I was in Moab for Easter G Safari, I broke the inner sleeve of my anti-wrap bar bushing, and it was clicking. It took me so long to figure out what the issue was.
You broke the inner sleeve of your anti-wrap bar
Bushing. So it's got the bushing, the poly bushing, the inner sleeve that the bolt goes through.
You broke that.
It split on the weld.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was full throttle, double low, bouncing up potato salad hill. I don't do it often, especially when I'm 1,400 miles away from home.
It always happens.
I don't do it often, but when I do it,
I break stuff. But I wheeled the rest of the trip on it, and it was just annoying. But I was like, make sure it's not the
It was inside. It was captured though, right?
Yeah, it was captured.
Yeah, so it wasn't a big thing.
So it was not a big thing.
Yeah, still
but
like
yeah, I mean, everybody's watching. Cooper Rasmussen, the guy that owns Offroad Power Products, you can hear him in the video. He's talking about it, and I was like, I can't back down from this thing.
Yep.
I feel a slight side tangent because you built it for off-road or for Ultimate Adventure, and with the power of YouTube now and the power of everybody getting nicer camera equipment and people being able to do this stuff funded your phone.
Yeah, that's nicer camera equipment.
Well, and I think that a lot of people that filmed, I think Lightbright, when they filmed the Trail to Sema, I think they filmed most of that on their phone. And same with Bleepin' Jeep. I think I was looking like the shadows and stuff, and it looked like he was holding a phone.
Maybe.
I think they filmed a lot
Pixel,
of it.
this is a Pixel 3, and it has its own issues, but the camera is freaking is awesome. Like, I have DSLR, you shoot photos, obviously. It's
but not video.
No, but it's like, it probably does like 95% of the quality of like a really expensive DSLR, and it's a phone.
As long as you're not trying to do like some like trick shots, like long distances, things like that. Yeah, you're not trying to get
anything you need a special lens for.
Yeah, special lens. But on that, what I was saying is that I feel like the power of YouTube now is that if Ultimate Adventure goes to the wayside, say they can't fund it anymore, that trip goes to the wayside, I feel that somebody else is going to pick that up. You could arrange a trip with somebody else pretty quick.
There already are. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I've already found a couple on Facebook that are like basically Ultimate Adventure.
Yeah.
And they have like a lottery system, and the nice thing about Ultimate Adventure, from what I gather, and Bray went on it. I talked to him about it. I talked to the guys when I was in Moab. That was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go, was meet all the guys, all the magazine guys. and they call you. They make sure you're not like a douche.
Yeah, right. Make sure you're gonna be.
Make sure you talk. You walk the walk. That you talk. And
they gotta kind of vet you.
Yeah, because they don't want you they don't want you holding up the adventure.
Yep.
They don't want you representing the magazine badly.
Right.
And they want to get along with you.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to meet all that. It's not just your rig. You got to be a cool dude.
That's why I won't get invited. I'm too hyped up. Everybody's got to warm up.
You have the right attitude.
I got the right attitude, but I come on strong.
You do come on strong. That's why it took us so long to hang out with you.
I'm like a sharp whiskey. I come on strong, but I'm smooth going down.
But they'd pick up on that. It's like a phone interview.
Yeah.
So they'd pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I think excitement is the biggest thing for that too. Anyway.
I think that if this podcast was to, that may be one of the things, like if you had like a dream, one of the things, like if the podcast takes off enough and we're able to do things with it and our listeners and stuff like that, if we can get a group, like a meet and greet type thing going on, you have like a meet and greet, and then maybe you could even schedule like an event where you get so many listeners or maybe patrons or something, like whatever.
Yeah.
You get so many people together and go do something like that, a 5-day adventure.
That's how King of Hammers started.
Really?
Yep. King of Hammers started out with a couple buddies running trails and going, I can run this faster than you. Next thing you know, they're selling spots, and
Bringing friends
King
on.
of Hammers is like the ultimate mecca of gathering people, and that's
wilding ever.
literally how it started.
Fastest growing off-road event ever.
Yeah.
Probably automotive event.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Jason from Wheel and Wine and Whiskey was asking me, he's like, you gonna go to King of the Hammers? I'm like, no. Like, yeah, that'd be great, but it's a long trip. Like, to get from here to there.
Couple miles.
And it would really suck
Couple miles.
to fly there.
Yeah.
And not
Oh
wheel.
my
Yep.
god. That'd be terrible.
But it's, what is it, 36 hours from here?
He's got a brand
Or
new truck
from
on
Chicago.
We could rent you one.
There you
I'll
go.
loan you one out.
Loan you one out.
So what's next? Where are you going? What's the wheeling trip you're coming up to? Looking forward to?
Well,
or mods or whatever?
When Steve finishes Loki, we're
Yep.
going to the Badlands, which on New Year's Day, which would be tomorrow when this podcast airs.
Yeah.
So
be awesome.
yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't wait to see that thing perform. I haven't changed mine except for putting the Chromos and S'more, but I'm excited to wheel. And
Long
Growy's
time
also
coming.
done his wheelbase shortening, so he's copying me.
Yeah, awesome.
Sees what works. And
Hey, imitation is the
Yep.
best form, or the best form of flattery, or whatever.
I hope
right? So
Growy, I hope we can get a full trip in with a Growy without breaking something.
the nice thing for
Hope we got steering sorted.
off tangent on that a little bit. The nice thing about what Growy did is that I told him all the mistakes that I made,
Yeah.
so he went right to what worked rather than like stepping into it slowly
How
like
nice
I
that-
did.
And he's helped you out in several
Oh
ways,
yeah,
too.
Growy
Made
is
parts for you. and
Oh, he's
stuff
an
like
awesome
that.
dude.
Yeah.
He's not just like mooching off.
No.
He's made parts for me. He helped out with the wheelbase shortening. I love helping out with solid axle stuff. So
He plugged our podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yep. Did a plug.
So-
I mean, Growy's a great dude.
He's an awesome dude.
Yep.
And he's got 3 kids. He does all this
And
stuff.
still wheels.
Still wheels.
Let that be a lesson.
Feeding 4 miles. I'm so hungry.
5 miles.
5 miles, yeah.
All right. I don't know if this new one's born yet. Yeah. He's got 3 kids, right?
The rap video from Believe in Jeep.
Oh.
Have you heard that one?
No, I haven't.
You haven't heard that? Well, after this, we're
I'll
gonna
look
play
it up.
that.
We're gonna listen to that.
But in that video, he's like, feeding 4 miles and still building big Jeep or something, still building that Jeep, and it's like, and then you hear the, I'm so hungry, and in the video, it's like they're all sitting around ramen.
Hey, you gotta make it work.
Gotta make it work.
awesome.
So,
Priorities.
so where are you at with Loki? Then that's where we're at.
Okay, so Loki. You want me to just start from? You want me to just kind of get a rundown of everything that's changed since
I don't know if we have
wheeled
time
it?
for that.
Oh god!
I don't know if we want to spend another hour on this or not.
Right now, it's at Mike's house in his shop, and it's getting. I'm in the process of getting the whole back end, faux floor, outer inner wheel wells, all that
Tubs,
sheet metal.
basically.
Yeah, tubs from one side of the vehicle to the other.
Tub.
Yeah, tub. One tub. Tub, but it's not like a simple just throw it in there.
It's a jacuzzi tub.
Yeah. I raised the fuel tank to the inside. I cut a hole in the floor and dropped the fuel tank in from the top side, and then I've built a false floor out of 1x1 tubing or 1x1 square tube, and then I'm putting sheet metal in that and get that all figured out. But man, it is. I did all the easy pieces. The easy pieces are done.
It looks nice. I
Yeah,
hate welding sheet metal. I do not envy you.
It looks very nice, though. It does.
16 gauge, best investment ever. If I'd have done 18, I'd have hated my life.
Did you do it with what wire size?
30.
Oh, 30?
No, 30.
Wow.
It welds just fine.
Next time, well, it probably welds fine, but
Yeah.
try 24.
24 would have been nice.
Yeah, that's
But-
what I do on my exhaust on because I'm so tired of
Did you
burning through.
Growy the other day? Girl, when he was doing his exhaust, did you see that on the group chat?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was upset.
He was like, screw exhaust, I hate this so much.
Yeah,
I'm bet you burn through, and then you try and fix it, and then you burn through the other side, and you try and fix it, you burn through the other side.
Worse.
I told him,
And you
I
end
was
up with this like giant glob, and you're like, that looks like a 4-year-old.
We'll put that on the top. Nobody will see it.
he was like, I hate welding this. And I was like, man, but why are you using? He's like, 030. I was like, you should go to 024. Well, I don't have 024. Can I just sit here and have a pity party and you guys just say okay?
We do agree with
Give
you
me 5
growing
minutes.
publicly now.
Give me 5 minutes. Yeah, no, I hate welding sheet metal and the quarter panels. So I welded the 1x1 square tubing is 1/8 wall, and I welded it to I cut a piece and I welded it just below the body line to the quarter panel. I stitched it in. And so like it's rigid from one side to the other. It's all tied into the body now. And
nice.
welding that was a pain in the ass. But the 16 gauge that I'm putting in now rarely burns through. Even with the 030.
Do you have it overlaid, or is it
Some of it, but a lot of it is set up against the 1/8 inch square tube.
Oh, okay.
So I plug welded everything.
Yeah.
So
that's nice.
Yeah, and so it's not been a nightmare at all. It's actually been pretty smooth, and it's all brand new metal.
Makes
That makes life.
easier.
Oh yeah, super easy.
We're using exhaust bends that are kind of rusty already, and you're just like, I'll just grind the rust out, but then it's thinner. and
Thinner,
it's-
yep.
Half as thick.
Yep. Yeah, new metal is definitely key when you're trying to do something like that. But we're getting close. I was going to work on it some more last night, and we were making good progress yesterday. And then we had kind of an impromptu game night over at Mike's. We had a bunch of friends over and did some games.
Damn it, Mike. I'm trying to get
felt-
rigs built here.
Don't pick on him. He felt so bad. He's like, "Oh man, you're not going to get anything done tonight." And I was starting to get on a roll. So after we get done recording this, I'm probably going to go back over there and put in some time. And then tonight when I get home, I'll get this on the computer and get everything figured out with that. But that's what we're working on. The anti-wrap bar's done. It's stretched. It's 110 inch wheelbase. Cut the quarter panels. New springs up front. Bastard packed the rusties out back. Bump stops, limit straps, new shocks. The list is endless. It's like, I didn't do that much, and then I start thinking about all the things that I've changed since the last time I went out. It's going to be the only thing that's the same as the driver's seat.
Yeah, you got a new rig, basically.
Yeah, it's
driver's seat,
from what it
roof
was.
panel.
Yeah, from what it was. I mean, I didn't change that much, but from what it was at roughly 10 inches of lift, now on 6 inches of lift, and everything just changing. The wheelbase and the new anti-wrap that's longer. Did you see my burnout video?
Yeah.
Checking that anti-wrap. She just stood
awesome.
up about 1.5 inches and just lit them up. I was like, well, it works on 30 psi. We get everything. Well, I get everything done with this back end. I'm going to layer it down to about 12 or 8 and go back out there and do it again. Because if we're going to break it, might as well break it there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Save hauling it over there.
Yep.
Cool.
So we'll do that again on 12 or 8
Yeah,
psi and see if it hops.
You're not going to break it.
That should be okay.
Should be fine.
It's on an oil chip.
It might not spin them, though.
Yeah, right. It had no problem. That was like
Really?
that was like quarter, third throttle.
Yeah, do you have a 3/4 ton Dana 44 in the front?
No,
Brakes are...
half ton.
Oh.
Yeah, no problem. You got disc
I'm
brake
so used to
conversion in the
having like 2 million pounds over the rear axle like my truck
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, mine has
I can't
no
I
weight.
can't do a burnout anymore.
I got it's less than 1/8 of a tank of fuel in it, so
Even with
No
30
weight.
psi in it, I can't do a burnout in my truck anymore.
yeah.
But that's how
crazy.
I built it.
Exactly. Didn't build it for burnouts.
Nope. And actually, one more thing that we have on here that we didn't put is that I kept the engine and transmission tuning stock
Yeah.
because GM put all kinds, millions of dollars R&D into the LS and the 4L80, and they work.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have not even a cam. Like I don't want to put a cam in it, open it up, and possibly screw it up. And then when I'm in Moab next time or wherever the heck
Yeah.
I'm at, just the cam bearing chewed up.
Mm-hmm.
You got reliable horsepower that works. It's enough. You don't need more. I mean,
I've obviously don't have any problems breaking axle shafts. So
exactly. Yep.
And when you're building it for crawling,
Yeah.
you don't need that much power.
No.
I mean, look at these guys doing the rock crawling out in San Hollow and stuff. They're using small Toyota and small diesel engines.
4 cylinders.
Yeah,
Yep.
little stuff. You just got your gearing.
Ecotech is a really good like small light buggy engine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you
I didn't
didn't.
mean to interrupt, but I just love talking about all this stuff. But now we're over probably by a lot.
Not really. This is our podcast. I think
We're in charge of it. Yeah, we do what we want to.
Yeah.
Well, I got more stories, so I'll have to come
Got
back
more
sometime.
stories. Yeah.
I'm excited, man. You guys are on a good path with this podcast. I already listened to your first 2 episodes, obviously, and it's really fun. So
Yeah, we've had some pretty good reviews. All you guys out there listening, we appreciate you listening to us and giving us feedback. If you're listening to this, please shoot me a message. Let me know what you think. Shoot Ian a message, whatever you want to do. let us know. Let us know how we're doing, because that right there is the drive that keeps us going. If we're doing a good job, people like listening to it, then we're going to keep recording it. If you guys don't like it, why are we sitting here talking into a microphone?
We'll go out and sit there and watch TV.
Yep. We'll go drink beer in the garage.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously this is episode 3. We still haven't had any craft beer because I don't know.
Oh, are they supposed to bring some?
No,
I think that's in the contract.
We
yes.
go off.
Oh, man.
I think we go off the rails enough as it is. We put beer into that right now.
Yep.
Yeah, you start your beer at the beginning of the episodes and you would only have one.
Yeah, that'd be
Otherwise, at
fine.
the end, you're going to be like, woo.
And I think we probably will get to that. You got to drive today, so it's not ideal to have for Ian and I just to be sitting here drinking a beer, and you're like, well, wish I could have one of those.
Exactly.
No, next time I come down, it'll probably be for a weekend or something. We'll
Yeah, that'd be
throw
cool.
back some brewskis.
Definitely have
Yeah.
to come up with some cool stories because there's plenty more that we didn't even get to touch on.
I don't think we have to come up with them.
Yep. we got a whole list of stuff.
We'll
I
have
got
a-
stuff we don't even have written on here that I want to talk about. So
All right. Well, that's about it then.
That's it for that. We started a Patreon account. If anybody feels so inclined to donate, I just set up last night. So by the time this comes out, maybe I have a few more things on there. I don't know about a tier yet, but we're just taking donations. We've got a little bit invested into this, and anything that helps pay for the monthly expenses. We don't mind throwing a little bit of money out of our pockets and paying for the audio equipment, give you guys good audio, and that's coming. With time, we want to make sure that people are going to listen and like the podcast. So now that we've got a fair amount of listeners, I think it's fair to you guys that we upgrade our audio quality and get that as on point as we can, so that you guys have something good to listen to when you're putting it in your ear holes, as Tyler would say.
And then come up with some stickers and some T-shirts.
Yes,
and logos.
apparel, stickers. We'll get to that. So I started a Patreon page. It is, I believe it's patreon.com/Total Offroad Podcast, one word. And you can go to that if you guys want to donate. If half of our listeners were to give us $1, it would cover our monthly expenses that we shell out, just to host the podcast and do the audio editing. So we have that going on. Don't feel obligated to go donate, but if you want to, we have a way for you to do that now. Another thing that's new is Ian has got the Total Off-Road Podcast YouTube channel launched. And he's got a few videos up there of the old dime piece back when she was the Barney Buggy.
Back in the day.
the Barney,
The Barney Buggy.
More content.
the orange Barney buggy. You never
orange, yeah.
actually wheeled it when it was purple.
No, because I couldn't stand the purple.
Yeah, I love the purple.
You
love the
liked it,
purple.
but you didn't want to admit you liked it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I don't mind admitting it.
Yeah, Derek's wearing a purple shirt.
wearing a purple
It looks
shirt
good
right
on
now.
you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so we've got a couple things coming up. Like I said, the YouTube channel. So go check that out. It's Total Off-Road Podcast on YouTube. All one word. Should be pretty easy to find. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to shut down? Do anything?
I'd shut it down. That's all we got.
Tell them
Go
your
give us a
Instagram.
like, share, follow. Yeah, our Instagrams. We didn't do that. On the Instagram is total_offroad_podcast. Go give us a follow. We might be doing some exciting stuff on there here pretty quick. So
Giveaways.
shh, don't be telling them our secrets.
Gotta let the secret out.
Gotta let the secret
Keep
out.
them on the hook.
Yep.
Yeah, keep them on the hook. No, we're gonna do something. We're gonna do some giveaway. We've been talking about that, doing a little bit of giveaway stuff. Get that page launched up. Get it going. Get us up to 500 followers. Would be a nice goal. So we're gonna be doing that. You can find me at low_key KEE_XJ. You can find Ian at offroad_Ian, and you can find Derek at DManBluesFreak on IG.
No underscores for me. So
No
I
underscores.
don't fit in the cool kids.
Doing it wrong.
I know.
And you can find Mike, our producer currently, at Mike So Funny, which is pretty easy to find. And he's got a good little Instagram page. Needs to post on it more, but hey,
It's little.
it's
Real little.
Yeah, well, we'll get you there. Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
Did I get all the things?
Got it all.
Like, share, follow.
Done.
Leave us a comment. Rate this podcast on the iTunes. Get us up on the list. Make us the fastest growing podcast on the podcast spaces.
There you go.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
I think that's the end. So,
All right. Thanks again
Happy
for
New
having me,
Year,
guys.
Happy New Year's. We'll catch you guys in the next century. No, wait. Decade.
Yep.
Next year?
Both. No, not century.
Not century.
Next year and decade.
We'll catch you guys next year on the trail.